Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our first Tech Talk for 2018, broadcasting live to you on Facebook from the Tafe, New South Wales St Leonard's campus. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today. I would also like to pay my respects to elders past and present. Hello, I'm Nathan Rose. I'm Head Teacher of Information Technology at Mount Druitt campus for Tafe, New South Wales. Today we are speaking, we're very excited, very excited. We are speaking with Clinton Cowin. Clinton is the Managing Director for TradiePad, but you're much more than that. Mm-hmm. You're an entrepreneur, you're a plumber. Mm-hmm. You analyse businesses, look at solutions for those businesses using technology. And you're also a technology trainer.
Yes.
So welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Many hats that I wear. Thank you, Nathan. It's awesome to be here. I studied at North Sydney Tafe many years ago. I studied my plumbing trade years ago. So it's awesome to be back here and here to talk about what I've been doing for the last 10 years.
Well, welcome back, and it's so good to have you here. And I think yours is such a great story. And I'd like to talk about TradiePad and what that all is about.
Yep.
But first, I'd like to hear about your background. You talked that you've studied at Tafe before.
Yep.
What's your background in terms of education, in terms of where you worked, that sort of thing? Yeah.
So plumbing was a bit of a late start for me. I was 24 when I got into my plumbing trade. Before that, I did a lot of different things. I don't think we've got enough time to talk about all of that. But plumbing was, I guess, my first experience with education after school, after leaving school. Yep. And so I got into the trade through association with some friends of mine and studied my apprenticeship here. I did my license course to get my plumbing license. I studied started my hydraulic engineering diploma and I also did my restricted electrical license here. So lots of education in the construction space. Yeah. And TradiePad really came about through wanting to, I guess, take my skills that I'd learned in previous careers. I was a photographer in a previous life, so I did a bit of digital photography and a bit of photo manipulation. So I had a bit of technical skill and came into the construction industry and saw that there wasn't a lot of technology there. Yeah. And so I kind of put the pieces together of what I'd learned over my many years of doing lots of different things and wearing different hats. And TradiePad was really the outcome. So
and like I guess over the last 10 years we've seen the cloud, we've seen mobile devices. It's really changed things. And was that something that you really took on board and thought, hey, there's a business in this? And a better way of doing something?
Yeah, 100%. And it was quite accidental. My business partner and I, we're running a plumbing business here in Sydney, and wanting to use computers, we had paper everywhere. We had job cards and invoice books and all this stuff, and we wanted to be able to run things electronically. But with traditional laptops and computers, it just wasn't practical. Internet connections weren't stable enough. So when the iPad was released, that was the thing that made me go, well, maybe that's the technology we've been waiting for. Yeah. It's portable, it's got a SIM card in it, it's easy enough to use for tradies with big plumbing fingers. Yeah. So the iPad was really the start, and got my hands on a couple of those original iPads and started to explore the App Store, and that's where I started to discover the cloud. Yes. So it was not on purpose, it was quite accidental. I wanted something that would allow me to have information go from this device to this device. Yep. And so the cloud is what allowed that to happen. So I kind of stumbled across it, but then I saw the power of what that was providing and the fact that we could communicate from one side of Sydney to the other side of Sydney instantly with jobs and photos and create invoices and then have that flowing into the accounting package. And so it was the mobile devices and the cloud-based software that provided the, connection that we were looking for. Yes. And that's when I realised that this technology, this was 6 years ago, this technology was exactly what the construction industry was waiting for. Yes. Because we weren't sitting in an office all the time, we weren't sitting at a desktop, we needed mobility. Yes. And so I realised that that technology was something that was going to change the industry. And that's when I realised that I needed to help other people to do what we had done within our business. And so TradiePad came about from that desire, I suppose, to help put these tools into people's hands and teach them how to use it and change their life, and in the end, help change the industry as well.
And I guess that leads us to our next question. So when I mentioned to friends I'm interviewing Clinton from TradiePad, they're sort of saying, okay, so what app is that? Is that an app? Can I download it? And I work at Mount Druitt campus, so I've got mates out there that are tradies, and I said, so what app is it? And I said, well, it's actually a collection. So
spot on.
Yeah,
I get asked that question all the time.
Yeah.
What does your app do? Well, it's not an app. So ultimately, we're a training organisation. We're training tradies and field service businesses how to use technology and how to use apps to run their business. So we've got a whole range of different apps that we work with. So I'm not a traditional IT student or IT person, I suppose. I'm not a developer. I'm not involved in creating the apps or any of that. I guess we're helping to identify or understand what a business is doing and point them in the right direction of which app is going to work for their business. Because I wish this existed, but there's no one size fits all. Every business is different. Every business has different functions or operational models and different levels of technology adoption and different requirements, and they do different types of work. So there's no one thing that can do everything. So we help people understand which one's right for them. So
I guess in that area, then how has app providers, how have they dealt with that to be able to do not a one size fits all, but something that can be customised or fitted to a variety of needs?
Right. Well, in the early days of TradiePad, I came across Xero. And so Xero was the first piece of the puzzle, I suppose, that made me realise that you're not just downloading an app and away you go, it runs your business. There's got to be some thought that goes into building the platform that runs the business. And so we take this modular approach, and a lot of times Xero is the hub, it's the starting point. Xero is a financial software, it's an accounting package, it runs the finances for the business. And that's all it does.
And it does that really well.
It does it exceptionally well. And Xero made that decision early on. Real success story out of New Zealand that's now taking on the world. And they made that decision early on to say, we're going to focus on what we do and do it exceptionally well. And we're going to focus on the API and focus on integration and make it so that other software developers can create things that can connect into what we do, and they can focus on what they do best and build an exceptional piece of software that can then be bolted into the ecosystem. So Xero now has over 600 add-ons as part of their certified ecosystem, another 400 or 500 that connect into Xero that haven't been officially certified, but we've now got a huge range of solutions to choose from, and all of these apps, all these add-ons to Xero do different things. It might be inventory or job costing or scheduling or timesheets or whatever it might be.
Even in my limited experience with Xero, like I've been blown away at just, I've got all my clients in Xero, so then I want to go and I want to send an email to them all, but I want it to look pretty, so I go and bolt in MailChimp, which talks seamlessly from Xero to MailChimp, and just that alone was fabulous. Or integration with PayPal or whatever it might be.
And so we really take that from the construction industry's perspective. We take that to the ultimate degree, where the business owner or the business uses what we call operational software, and that's a job management system or a project management system, and that becomes the app that runs on the phone or the iPad or whatever it might be, and it's the data collection point. So it's used to create the customer, create the job, schedule the job, create a quote, create an invoice, and it feeds whatever it needs to through to Xero. And that's one of the big turning points, I suppose. I realised, or in the days gone by, there was so much double handling and triple handling of information. You'd write things down 4 or 5 times. You'd then have to type it into your accounting package. And when I saw what the cloud-based solutions were able to do through integration and through APIs, where you achieve that single entry of data and it flows through to wherever it needs to go, that's a massive time saver. And that was one of the big light bulb moments for me to say, this is going to change people's lives.
And how have you gone with implementing that with plumbers, with electricians, with tradies? How have they gone, and what's some of the success stories?
Lots of success stories. So it can be a difficult conversation for someone that's not ready. And so that's been a real conscious decision for us. People are coming to us ready to change. They're coming to us because they know that there's other options out there, and they want a bit of guidance with it. Someone that's not thinking that way, that isn't in the right mindset, they're not ready to change. And so we found that the clients that are coming to us that have an open mind and that are ready to embrace something new, they're the ones that succeed. And so a lot of our clients' business has been running for nearly 6 years now, and we've had clients that have been with us the whole time, and the growth that you see in their business, they get tools into the business that allow them to then take on more work and add more workers and grow. And a lot of times we've had clients that have started on solution A and they've outgrown that because the business has exploded and they move on to solution B and solution C. So we're there to support them through that growth and support them through adding in the different bits of technology, the different bits of IT as they grow with maturity and tech savviness.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'd appreciate that, because often at times, you know, I know myself, at times you've got the blinkers on. You don't know what you don't know. And so to have someone like yourself and your organisation helping in terms of those solutions, I think must really help.
We're a big advocate of building that trusted network of advisors for your business. As a plumber, you got to being a plumber. You go to plumbing. You go to TAFE. You do your apprenticeship. You learn your trade. You're really good on the tools. There's a small portion on business management, and I'd love to see more of the technology piece being put into the actual business education for trades. But the technical side of things, being able to understand which devices are required and setting up domain names and email addresses and connecting all the pieces together and setting up accounting software, outsource that to people that are experts in that field. And we do that quite frequently with, say, bookkeeping and accounting. We don't do that. I don't want to do people's books. We're not accountants, but we're firm advocates of the accounting software.
Well, that was going to be my next question, Clinton. So that was, if you don't have, if either as a plumber or in your organisation, if you don't have that skill or that expertise, you're saying, go to someone who does.
Absolutely. Unless you've got the time and the desire to go out there and learn it yourself. And I love it when people do that. I love to provide a little bit of education and guidance and point people in the right direction if they want to go out and learn it themselves. But when you're in business, especially small business, you're wearing so many hats. Do you have the time, or is it the most appropriate use of your time to go out and learn all of those things, or are you better off focusing on what you do and what you do best and billing out hours in the case of a tradie, billing out hours and letting somebody else take care of that for you?
I know myself, like I'm a web developer, but I wouldn't do everything from the design right through to building the website. I might do particular bits, or I might just deal with a client and project manage it,
Same concept.
and then outsource the rest. So that's great.
So you build that network of people that you can call on outsourcing at its best. Absolutely.
Fantastic. And in terms of, like, you've grown a business in TradiePad, and in terms of growing a business that provides ICT solutions for business, what advice would you give our ICT graduates? Because one of the things I come across is often students think, look, I'm gonna finish my course in IT and I'm going to go and get a job with someone. We're really, I think you've been quite entrepreneurial. So how have you gone about growing a business, setting up a business? You've obviously had an idea and you've put it into action. So tell us a bit about that.
Well, it was an idea at the start. I still remember the day when I was talking to my business partner and we said, these tools that we've put into the plumbing business, we have to teach other people about this. We have to spread the word. And so the business really came out of that concept. And prior to that, I hadn't started a business before, so it was a real learning curve. And I look back on all the hard work that I've been through, and all of the learnings that I've been through, and I wouldn't change it for the world. But I guess the biggest thing that I had to prepare for was opening up my mind to change and to having other people assist and help, because initially it was me by myself. And I got to a point where I couldn't do everything at the same time. And so it just naturally kind of grew. We add more people that can help, more workers, and then I did a lot of work on educating myself about business structure and about understanding how, or the people that we needed and how to split that out into an organisation. So it was a big learning curve for me, and I guess the biggest piece of advice that I'd provide to anyone looking to, say, build an app or to get into the development side of things would be, don't try and boil the ocean. Don't try and solve everything. Pick one thing that you understand and you're very good at, and focus on it and excel at it. And coming back to what we're talking about with Xero, that's something that Xero did very well, and the add-ons or the apps that are successful as part of the Xero ecosystem, they're the same thing. There's one in particular that we work with called Deputy, which is a timesheeting and rostering solution. And all Deputy does is rostering and timesheets. That's it. And it was designed as a solution. It was created by a guy who had a team of workers out there in the cleaning space, and he wanted to just keep a track of their timesheets. And so that was started down in the Shire here in Sydney, and it's now grown to a global phenomenon. It's being used by a lot of the big corporate businesses in the country and overseas. They've grown into the US, and it's such a simple solution, but it's executed exactly right. And they've put a lot of focus into staying, focused on what their core strength is and their core market is, instead of trying to be all things to all people. And they end up spreading themselves too thin. So it's the same in business. You know, we've made a decision to stay focused on the trades and field services industries, because that's what we know.
And would you suggest, like, particularly for say ICT graduates and prospective students and current students, that they work with APIs so that they can connect 100%. In with some of these bigger players like your Xeros and others, so that they can build stuff and piggyback on I guess that success, but as you said, do something that works really well, that's, I guess, has a narrow scope.
100%. I was at I spoke at an event down in Melbourne last year, which was a construction technology summit. And one of the comments that was made there by one of the large software companies, one of their head developers said, API first. Focus on the API, get that nailed and absolutely right first. And then look at building out the remainder, because integration is everything. You can't possibly be all things to all people, so don't reinvent the wheel. Build the piece of software that focuses on what it does, and allow it to then connect into other things that do what they do. So API first.
Fantastic. And look, is there any other advice you'd give, I guess, to tradies, or to we talked a bit about for our ICT and IT students, but what about for tradie? What for tradies? What advice?
Be ready for change. I think the industry is changing. The way businesses and organisations do business is changing, and it's changing forever. So prepare yourself for change. Businesses that don't change and they don't get on board with technology, whether it's a job management system or it's creating an invoice or whatever it might be, if you keep doing what you were doing 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you're going to get left behind. So prepare for that change and open your mind to new things, and open your mind to learning as well. I'm a bit of a serial learner, like I said. I had the desire to go and explore and try these new things, but I think a lot of business owners get into the trap of, especially in the construction industry, I've done my learning. I learnt my trade. I've started my business.
Yep.
That's it. You know,
Yeah.
I don't need to do anything else. I just keep doing what I did yesterday, and I'll be right.
Yep.
But the world is changing,
Yes.
and technology is changing at a rate of knots. So open your mind to learning about how it can help you, because like I said at the start of the interview, the businesses that we've seen that have been successful are the ones that embraced the change early on and really ran with it. So open yourself to those learnings and think outside the square.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, Clinton, it's been an absolute pleasure having you with us today. I'm really buoyed by your experience, and I think coming and studying with us here at TAFE, and now throughout your career, and then now running TradiePad, and helping all of those tradies out there with technology-based solutions. I think it's really inspiring.
Yeah, I'm pretty passionate about it. and I guess my real burning desire is helping the industry as a whole.
Yes.
And we do that one business at a time, and change the lives of the business owners, because the technology is helping the business, but it's also helping the personal lives. And I'll talk about this from personal experience. The impact that putting some tools into the business, the impact that it had on our personal lives was massive, because we were getting the administration work done in the field.
Yes.
And getting home in the afternoon or at home at night, and not having to work on the business.
Do that.
So you get family time back, and friends time back, and that kind of stuff. And
it's really important.
yeah, and people start businesses, I guess, for the lifestyle.
Yes.
I'm going to be my own boss.
Yeah.
And you end up being, you buy yourself a job.
Yes.
And so I really see technology helping with that personal side of things, but also helping with improving the professionalism of the industry as a whole. And we were talking about it before the interview, about that experience of tradies being business people.
Yes.
And that's a big thing that ties back to what I mentioned before about being open to learning, but changing your mindset. You're not a tradie, you're a business person, and you're now able to use tools that the rest of the business world's been using for decades.
Yes.
So embrace it.
This is it. Yeah, excellent. Well, look, thank you, Clinton. It's an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for coming back to where it all began.
No worries.
And we wish you all the best.
I'll see what course I'm going to start next.
Well, that's right. Feel free. We have 1,200 courses plus a range of short courses. So yeah, come back and see us soon. Thanks again, Clinton.
Thanks, Nathan.
And all the best. And thank you to you out there tuning in via Facebook. We'll see you next time. See you later.